Hello everybody! Today we're gonna devil some eggs. Deviled eggs are also known as stuffed eggs, as Russian eggs, and as dressed eggs. Deviled eggs can be traced back to Roman times when they were dressed with spicy sauces. They have come a long way since then though. Deviled eggs are one of my favorite things and have been since I was a child. In some cookery texts that dating back as far as medieval Europe, some deviled eggs contained herbs, cheese, and even raisins. And I know there's a lot of strong opinions about raisins. We won't be putting any raisins in our deviled eggs today. As far back as the 13th century, deviled eggs turned up in Spanish cuisine, but they didn't really get their name until the 18th century. According to the Food Lover's Companion, to devil means to combine a food with various hot or spicy seasonings, such as red pepper, mustard, or tobacco sauce. I'm sure you're familiar with other sorts of deviled items, such as deviled ham. Same idea. In Sweden, the deviled egg is a traditional dish served at their annual smorgasbord, where the yolk is mixed with caviar, cream or sour cream, optionally chopped red onion, and decorated with chives or dill. And sometimes even a piece of anchovy may be placed on top of them, or even pickled herring, which I'm also a fan of. Late in the 19th century, deviled eggs started showing up in America in much of the same form that we see them today. The first recorded deviled egg in America was in 1877, but the first documented use of mayo in deviled eggs is dated back to 1886 in the Boston School of Cooking cookbook by Fanny Farmer. After World War II, deviled eggs became popular fare at picnics and church gatherings because it was a time of frugality and they were economical to make and they were easy to transport. Nowadays, deviled eggs have experienced a renaissance and I'm always excited to find them on menus on the occasion that I go to a restaurant. Deviled eggs can be filled with a huge assortment of ingredients, and they include diced pickle or pickle relish, herbs and spices, vinegar, mustard, spicy mustard, scallions, green olives, pimentos, poppy seed, minced onion, caviar, capers. Possibilities are really endless. Even use horseradish, harissa, grainy mustard, sambal, sambuca, sriracha. You can garnish them with any number of things. I've garnished mine with pulled pork, chutney, with shrimp, with jalapenos. Here are some pictures of some deviled eggs that I've made for caterings and for gatherings with friends in the past. If you want to know the best eggs to use to make boiled eggs, also known as simmered eggs, refer back to my boiled egg episode and you'll find out a whole bunch of information on how to properly prepare the eggs to make them deviled. So now that we know a whole bunch about deviled eggs, let's get started. Hope I don't fuck this up. Take your hard-boiled egg and slice it in half lengthwise. You're going to want to take a spoon and remove the yolks gently as to not make a hole in the white. And then just put all of your egg yolks into a bowl that's the size that you think you're going to need. I'm making a standard base to which I'm going to divide and add different ingredients to show you different versions that you can make. If you're just going to make traditional deviled eggs, then just follow this basic recipe. I'm not going to worry about an egg that I have that's ugly because I'm going to be the only one eating these. But if you're serving these for guests, you want to be as careful as possible and always make more eggs than you think you're going to need, just in case you mess up. And of course, this is something you want to do with eggs that have been properly chilled. Okay, now that we've gotten all those out, set the egg whites aside. Grab yourself a fork, and then just mash these up to a nice consistency. It'll be easier to mash these before you add any of the other ingredients in. Next, you want to take mayonnaise. Yes, I like mayonnaise that much. The nice thing about deviled eggs and the filling is that you can kind of make it however you want. You don't want the filling to be too wet, but you also don't want it to be too dry. And that might have been just a little bit too much mayo, but it'll do. Now, different things that you can mix in with this, and I'm gonna make some, but I'm gonna divide this out into smaller parts, is horseradish, which I'm going to do today, capers, harissa, which is an Indian spicy red pepper sauce, chopped up salami, and green olives, and this is a habanero stuffed green olive. And then I'm going to play around a bit with some seasonings. I've got some Spanish smoked paprika, some cayenne pepper, some Chinese 5-spice powder, some chipotle chili powder. Mayo has some salt in it. I wouldn't add salt to the mixture, but that is completely up to you. Okay, so I've narrowed it down to 3 different kinds of deviled eggs that I'm going to make today. I'm going to add a little 5-spice powder to this one, and I'm not going to garnish it with anything. 5-spice powder is delicious and kind of a complex flavor. The second one, I'm going to add horseradish sauce. And then the third one, I'm going to slice up this green olive. I'm going to mix the chopped salami in with the mix, and then I'm going to garnish it with the green olive. So I think about half a teaspoon should do it for that one. Now I'm going to let that sit aside. And this is about a teaspoon of horseradish. I'm going to just use the solids and try to keep the liquid out of there. And then mix that up really nice. And it's about 3 slices of a small sliced salami. This is probably a lot of salami to put in there, but I do like a lot of salami, so. And then we'll set this aside, and I'll just slice this green olive in nice slices for a garnish. Now it's time for assembly. You could always just use a spoon for this, or you could use a piping bag and a tip. I'm going to use a piping bag and a tip, and I'm going to use a spoon just to see which is going to work out best. If you don't have a piping bag, you can always use a small quart-sized storage bag. Now, unfortunately, I could not find a very small tip, so I'm having to use one of my larger tips, which would be fine if I had a whole bunch of filling, but I don't. So I'm just gonna make do with this. Let's see how this is gonna work. So you want to take the egg in your hand like so, and then squeeze, like so. That's a little ugly. Let's try another one. And you can fill them as full as you want. That might be a little full in some people's opinion, but I think it's perfect. The second method, of course, is just to take a spoon and fill them like so. It's not as pretty, but you can make it pretty. I don't know if capers are gonna be super great with horseradish, but we'll see. And then finally, we've got this mixture. Now, I'm always a big fan of using the piping bags just because, as you can tell, you get a much prettier deviled egg. And if I was making this for catering or anything like that, or even for New Year's, which I've been known to do, make myself a bunch of deviled eggs for New Year's, I would obviously make them super pretty. But we're being realistic home chefs today. And then you can just, and with these can get a nice curl, like so. Let's take a closer look. So we've got the salami and green olive, the horseradish with capers, and the Chinese 5-spice. Let's see how they taste. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the deviled egg. If you're a fan of deviled eggs, you know it. I'm gonna start with the salami one first because it's the least strong flavor, and then I'm gonna move on to the stronger flavors, which is how you should always eat if you really want to taste the flavors in separate different things. I mean, you're not gonna hear me complaining about a deviled egg. Let's move on to the horseradish one. Now, I literally picked what I was going to do with these based on what I had in my refrigerator, which is one of the nice things about deviled eggs. You can just go through there and see if you have pickles or you have any curry sauces or anything. You just make them your own. Horseradish with capers. This would be really good with a shrimp on top. And finally, the Chinese 5-spice powder deviled egg. Wow, those are so good. I'm gonna go eat some more. I hope this has inspired you to think outside the box when it comes to deviled eggs. I hope that you make some soon. If you have any other creative, what you think are bizarre ideas for deviled egg filling, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Share it with a friend if you think somebody else could be inspired by this video to make some zhuzhed up deviled egg. And as always, thank you for watching my video and have a fantastic day. Who was good boys today? Was you a good boy today? Yes, you was a good boy. Corey, was you a good boy today? Yes, Corey was a good boy today. Yes, you were very good boys while I recorded content. Yes, you get treatsies. You will just eat and eat and eat, won't you?